All right, welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to get into something pretty fascinating, something I think a lot of you have probably thought about. How kids learn. Not the latest educational fads, but how those young minds, like the kids in your lives, how they're actually wired to learn.
Yeah, we all want the best for them, right?
Exactly. So we're going to go deep on the evolved ways kids pick things up.
It's kind of like looking for that owner's manual, but for a child's brain.
Uh-huh, exactly. So if you've ever wondered, what are the inherent strengths kids bring to learning and how can we tap into that? This is for you. We're not going to get lost in complicated jargon or anything. We're getting to the heart of it.
That's right.
For this deep dive, we've been really digging into this article by David F. Bjorklund. It's called Children's Evolved Learning Abilities
Mm.
and Their Implications for Education.
Yeah, it's a great one. Really gets you
Yeah.
thinking.
It does, yeah. And our mission here is to kind of pull out those core evolutionary principles, the things that really shape how kids learn. We're going to highlight some of the surprising ways our, ancient psychology kind of bumps up against modern education. And most importantly for you guys, we're going to identify some really actionable insights that can help make learning more enjoyable and more effective for the kids in your lives.
That's the goal, right? To give you something you can actually use.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And to make it easier, we're going to look at it like uncovering the evolutionary instruction manual for nurturing those curious and capable little learners. So where do we even begin?
Well, Bjorklund outlines these four key evolved learning mechanisms. He calls humans the most educable of animals.
And that first one is kind of a mouthful. He calls them skeletal, perceptual, and cognitive mechanisms that get fleshed out over the course of development, mainly through play.
Yeah, it sounds complicated, but it's actually a really simple and powerful idea.
So break it down for us. What does that actually mean, like in practical terms?
Okay, so think about it like this. Kids aren't born as blank slates. They come preloaded. It's like they have these starter kits for learning, and guess what? Play is the main way those kits get upgraded.
So it's not just kids running around burning off energy.
No, it's way more than that. It's essential, really. I mean, we're not just passive sponges soaking up information. We have these basic frameworks, almost like skeletal structures, in how we perceive and think right from the start. But they need to be, fleshed out. They need active engagement with the world to develop and become more sophisticated. And the research is really clear on this. Play is how that happens, especially for young kids.
So every time you see a kid playing, you're watching them build those fundamental skills.
Exactly. Think of a baby, reaching for a rattle. That's basic perceptual motor development in action. Or a toddler engaged in pretend play, acting out things they've seen. They're not just having fun, they're developing social understanding, cognitive flexibility, all through play.
Wow, that really changes how you think about playtime. Okay, so that's mechanism number one, development through play.
Right. Now, the second one Bjorklund talks about is this: a high level of plasticity that is greatest early in life, but that persists into adulthood.
Yeah, we hear all the time about how crucial those early years are, but why? How does this evolutionary perspective add to that?
Well, it kind of makes sense when you think about it from an evolutionary standpoint. Human babies, they're born into this incredibly complex world. They need to be super adaptable to learn all the skills, the knowledge, the social norms of their specific environment. That's where this brain plasticity comes in. It allows for a rapid learning and adaptation based on individual
So it's
experiences.
like their brains are primed for soaking up everything around them.
Yeah, and while it naturally slows down as we get older, the capacity for learning and change, it never goes away completely. So it's like laying a foundation early on, but you can keep building and remodeling throughout life.
So the takeaway here is that those early years are super important, but learning doesn't stop after a certain age. Okay, on to the third mechanism.
This one's all about our social nature, remarkable social learning capabilities. It's what makes us human, really.
Yeah, how did we evolve to be such incredible social learners, and what does that mean for how kids pick things up?
Well, think about it. We can learn just by watching, by imitating, by being instructed, by working together. It's amazingly efficient. We don't have to reinvent the wheel every generation. We tap into the knowledge and skills of our group.
Like kids learning language or social customs just by observing and interacting with others.
Exactly. It's like a built-in apprenticeship program. They're constantly picking up signals, verbal and nonverbal, from the people around them.
So that's social learning, a huge advantage for our species. Now, the fourth evolved learning mechanism is our natural dispositions toward exploration and play. We've already touched on play, but what about this drive to explore?
It's all connected, really. Think about it. Kids are naturally curious. They want to investigate, to experiment, to figure out how things work. It's not about external rewards, it's this deep internal drive. And play. That's the perfect context for exploration. It allows them to try things out, to test their understanding in a safe and engaging way.
So we've got these four powerful learning mechanisms:
Okay.
development through play, that amazing early brain plasticity, the social learning piece, and this inherent drive for exploration and play. It's like a recipe for creating lifelong learners. But then Bjorklund throws in this idea of evolutionary mismatches. What are those, and why should we care, especially in the context of education?
Right. Good point. So, an evolutionary mismatch, think of it like this. It's when a psychological mechanism that was super beneficial in our ancestral environment, back in the day, it's not so helpful in our modern world. In fact, it can even be a disadvantage.
So like our ancient hardware running into modern software problems?
Exactly. And when we talk about education, we have to ask ourselves, are our current systems, which are pretty new in the grand scheme of human history, are they really in sync with how kids are naturally wired to learn?
That's a big question. Can you give us an example, something we can relate to, of a potential mismatch in education?
Sure. Think about the typical classroom setup. Lots of structure, lots of sitting still, listening to lectures, absorbing information through words on a page. Now contrast that with how kids evolve to learn. By doing, by moving, by directly interacting with their environment. That's a potential mismatch.
It's like we're asking kids to ignore their natural instincts for exploration and play. And that can't be good for their learning.
Right. It might even be counterproductive. So the big question is, how can we bridge this gap? How can we use these insights about evolved learning abilities to create more effective and engaging learning environments for kids?
Well, Bjorklund gives us some practical suggestions, right? He starts with following developmentally appropriate practices, which are also evolutionarily appropriate practices.
Right. It's about making sure the educational approaches we use are in tune with how kids naturally develop at different ages. You wouldn't teach a toddler the same way you'd teach a teenager.
Right. Of course not. But Bjorklund is saying that these developmentally sound practices are also the ones that best align with our evolutionary heritage. It's about working with, not against, our natural learning mechanisms.
Exactly. So recognizing that young kids thrive on hands-on activities, social interaction, and lots of unstructured play, that's not just good developmental practice. It's evolutionary smart, too. It's acknowledging their need to explore, to move, to play as essential parts of learning.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. What's the next suggestion?
It's a simple one, but so important: increasing opportunities for physical activities. We all know exercise is good for our bodies, but it's also crucial for our brains.
But why? What's the connection between moving our bodies and learning?
Think about our ancestors. They were constantly on the move. Physical activity was woven into their daily lives. And research shows that it really benefits our brains, especially kids' brains. It helps with attention, memory, problem solving, all the skills they need to learn effectively.
So it's like physically waking up the brain and priming it for learning.
Exactly. And yet we see so many schools cutting back on recess, on physical education. It's like we're undermining learning by limiting these opportunities for movement.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And the next suggestion, it's one we've been talking about all along, increasing opportunities to learn through play. Bjorklund's really hammering this point home.
He is, and for good reason. Play is not a break from learning. It is learning. It's how kids naturally explore, experiment, and make sense of the world. Through pretend play, building things, playing games, they develop social skills, emotional regulation, problem-solving abilities, all in this incredibly engaging and enjoyable way.
It's their natural way of learning. It's like we need to stop trying to separate play from real learning and embrace it as the foundation.
Absolutely. And finally, Bjorklund has this really intriguing suggestion that challenges us to think differently, taking advantage of stress-adapted children's hidden talents.
Okay, this one really caught my attention. What are these hidden talents?
It's the idea that kids who faced tough situations, maybe adversity or unpredictability early on, they might actually develop certain cognitive strengths as a way to adapt to those challenges.
So it's like their brains rewire themselves to cope, and that can actually create advantages in certain areas.
In a way, yes. It's not that they haven't been impacted by those experiences, but they've adapted, they've developed strengths that might not be as obvious. For example, they might be incredibly attuned to social cues or have super strong working memory. These are skills that can be real assets.
It's like they developed cognitive superpowers as a result of what they've gone through.
That's a great way to put it. And the key for us as adults is to recognize these strengths, to value them, and to create learning environments that allow these kids to thrive.
It's about seeing the potential, not just the challenges. It's a more hopeful and empowering way to approach education.
Exactly. It's about understanding that kids come to us with diverse strengths and challenges, and our job is to meet them where they are and help them flourish.
Wow, that's a powerful takeaway. So, to sum it all up, kids are born with incredible learning abilities. They're hardwired to learn through play. Their brains are amazingly adaptable, especially early on. They're natural social learners, and they have this built-in drive to explore and discover.
That's a great summary. And the message for us is clear. We need to work with these natural inclinations, not against them.
So that means prioritizing developmentally appropriate practices, giving kids plenty of opportunities for physical activity and play, and recognizing and nurturing the unique strengths they bring to the table, even if those strengths have been shaped by adversity.
It's about creating learning environments that are engaging, effective, and ultimately more joyful for kids.
Absolutely. Well, this has been a truly fascinating deep dive. I hope everyone listening feels like they've gained some valuable insights into how kids learn and how we can support them in the best possible ways.
I hope so too. It's about changing the way we think about childhood learning and embracing the incredible potential of every child.
And before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder. If we really take these evolutionary insights to heart, how might they challenge some of our long-held beliefs about education? What new possibilities might open up when we stop seeing kids' natural ways of learning as something to be overcome and start seeing them as strengths to be nurtured?
That's a great question to leave everyone with. As you go about your day, observe the kids in your life. See how they learn, how they play, how they interact with the world, and ask yourself, how can I use these insights to create richer, more meaningful learning experiences for them?
That's a great way to put it. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep playing.
And keep those kids learning and growing.
Absolutely.